Hi guys, Greg with GTS here. We're just running through and going to show you here about the PCS-H100 hydraulic portable pressure calibrator from PDK in Korea. So being a portable unit, we've got a U-boot handle here. This here is your hand pump that will generate your pressure. Up here we have your venting point. This is where you attach your pressure gauge, your pressure sensor or your pressure switch, depending on what you're doing. You've got power, you've got your electrical inputs, you've got your touch screen where you can operate and choose through your menu what you're measuring. Here is your fine adjustment, very, very important. And this is your fill point where you would fill and clean your hydraulic fluid. When you purchase your hydraulic portable test kit, you will need to purchase the adapters you need. This is a universal point, but your adapters will be subject to whatever thread you've got on your gauges or your sensors. You'll need your adapters. So we'll pop our adapter in like that, and that way we can then screw in our gauge with the swivel on the test board. So when we are screwing in our gauge, obviously you can get it hand tight because you need to make sure you've got a good seal. This gauge is 63mm 1000 bar. The maximum range that this unit goes up to. Obviously on that angle we're not going to be able to see it, so we need to be able to turn it around and tighten it up. This big button here, you just press and hold to turn it on. That allows the touchscreen to work. As you can see, we've got a unit button here. You can change the different units that it displays. You've got a zero function, so you can zero, because this may have travelled in an aircraft or different gravity, or you've already used it. Before you zero it, make sure you open your vent port to ambient. Now that we've got it zeroed, we ensure that the vent port is closed and we can start generating pressure. Now, when you pump this arm, it's very easy at the beginning because there's a two-stage piston effect. And once it gets into that second stage, it gets very, very tough to press down, but it also ramps up the pressure quite quickly. So you've got to be careful not to blow your pressure gauge. All right, so here we go. A couple of pumps like that, nice and easy, and then we can start seeing that it's getting harder. You can see the green bar scale as I increase pressure here. I'll just be careful here because I've got the gauge I've got is 1000 bar, but I'll bring him up and we're coming up to 700. Whoa, okay, we got up to 950 there. She's come back down, so now this is where we use the fine adjustment, right, to bring her up to 1000, and we bring her up very slowly, as you can see. Right, so that's 1000 bar, and of course with every testing unit or calibrator, comparator that you use, there's always going to be a settling time. But in regards to this, we found the settling time is very, very good. This gauge, as you can see, is reading 1000 bar, while this is basically now just under 1000 bar, and the settling time would be somewhere in the vicinity of 40 seconds. And for the accuracy of this gauge, this is spot on. Okay, so now we've tested, we're happy with the accuracy, we've let it sit, we've let it settle, we're going to let it out. The first thing you do is you do the fine adjustment to bring that down, and you bring the pressure down off your gauge quite considerably because we're playing with a high pressure here. And then you slowly release your venting port. You can almost start to feel the pressure getting easier. There we go, and down she goes. So you've done that, you disconnect your gauge, you zero it, ready for your next gauge. Now you can also use this unit to measure your pressure sensors. Okie dokes. So we've got a touch screen, and if you have a look right here, it does say slide on the side here, right? So we've screwed in our sensor, but we need to make sure that we get our wiring correct, and if we slide it over, it gives us the milliamp 2-wire option. Slide it another way, it's the milliamp 3-wire, and again a 3-wire voltage output. But for this scenario, we are going to the milliamp 2-wire. So how do we wire it up? Not sure? Well, we've got a help button there. So we say help, and bang, it tells you how you wire up to your sensor. Okay, so we've wired up our sensor now as per our instructions. and we've closed off our vent, and we've zeroed it. So you can see straight away that we've got a reading of 4 milliamp, and we've got zero pressure. So all I've got to do is bring up the pressure, and you will see the change in milliamp. Now I've got to be careful here, because always must remember what pressure range I've got screwed in there. This is a 600 bar sensor, so don't go over 600 bar. Here we go. Soft at first, and then she gets tight. Gets heavy, and as you can see, the green bar graph goes up as the pressure builds. And I'm trying to do it slowly, that's why my arm's shaking. And then we just use the fine adjustment to get it up to 600. And bang, you can see we've got 20 milliamp. It's going to settle, but once it settles, spot on. Okay, so this can also measure your pressure switches. So if you come in here and have a look at the screen, we'll just zero the unit, and down the bottom you've got a home button and a 3 bar. That's not a signal, that's just an indication of a menu. So you can have a look at your min-max on gauges. You can do a leak test. You've got settings here where you can change the time and the cal pressure and things like that. But you've also got a switch test, so that's for pressure switches. So we've got it wired up here, we need to plug it in, and we will fire it up. It'll tell us what pressure it opens at, what pressure it closes at, and what the hysteresis is. Once you've taken that out and vented, and you've got almost back to zero, no pressure in the system, you can then reset it for your next pressure switch just by hitting this reset button down here, and everything's back to zero. You can see that this is a really versatile tool that's ideal when you're out there, portable hydraulic testing. They can be NADA certified, so this then becomes your reference for testing gauges on site, and very, very competitively priced. So it's certainly one of the tools that you should be having in your hydraulic arsenal. Available at GTS, just give us a shout, we can run you through, we can send you data sheets. Just give us a call and we'll answer any questions you have.